Hi everyone, welcome back to Banter, Real Talk, Real Life, episode 26 with me, Anu Wagner. I hope you're all doing really well and you've had a good week. I, on the other hand, was actually quite sick. I talked about this previously on an episode where I mentioned I literally do everything I can to prevent getting a cold. Well, last week, I think it was just one of those things, it was unstoppable and it was just brutal. But you know what? Sometimes when you go through that, you just have to hunker down, just get through it. And I did a combination of working on my laptop and just crashing out. But the one thing I can say, you know what's a real bummer, is being sick when the weather is so gorgeous outside. I think that's what killed me the most, because I really couldn't go outside that much. But what I did manage was the odd dog walk, which just filled me with so much joy. So yeah, I guess the plus side to being sick when it's sunny and lovely is you can go outside and get the sun on your face and warm up. Before we get started into this week's episode, I do want to say, if you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to rate, review, and share it. It really helps more people find these conversations. Banter. Today's episode, I am so excited about because it is an interview with the lovely, lovely Honor Marks. So Honor is a single mum living in France who is constantly pivoting and really showing that midlife and beyond can still be magical, despite all the stuff that life throws at us. And I love the way Honor says midlife and beyond. I think that's pretty magical. She runs curated retreats for women who are wanting more and has created a safe and supportive, fun online community for women in midlife and beyond. Through that, she brings in inspirational guest experts, hosts, weekly check-ins, and organizes real-life meetups. Alongside this, she's also been hosting families for years in her beautifully and sympathetically restored holiday accommodation. So she's created spaces for people to connect, reset, and feel at home, which is really at the heart of everything that she does. So without further ado, let's get into it. Banter. So with me today is Honor Marks, and I am so happy to have you on the podcast, Honor. I'd just like to say I saw you on Instagram. I love what you're doing, and I wondered if you could start by just telling the listeners a little bit about yourself and what you're doing.
Okay, well, thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me. I'm very flattered. Who am I? What am I doing? My name is Honor. I'm 61 years old, although I'm not really sure when that happened, and I'm not really grown up enough to be 61. And I live in the south of France. I used to live in Battersea in London. I'm from Kent originally. I've had numerous careers. My biggest career was recruitment, actually, in IT and banking. Hadn't got a clue what I was talking about, but I managed to wing it. And I've been winging it ever since. I came out to France 19 years ago with my now ex-husband. I sold my place in Battersea, bought a beautiful old farmhouse and converted it into Gîtes. Gîtes are self-catering holiday apartments for those people that don't know. And for the last few years, I've been doing that until COVID. And lots of things changed and pivoted. But in short, I'm still running the Gîtes, but I now run me treats for women in midlife. And I run an online membership called the Magical Midlife Membership. So again, for women in midlife and beyond, because I think at 61, I'm possibly beyond that.
So, Honor, that just sounds amazing. You know, it's one of those things my husband and I always talk about. I wish we could just pack up and have the guts to kind of move somewhere, Europe, whatever, and start afresh. And we obviously life gets in the way, kids, but you did that. And
we did.
Yeah, it's amazing. And when you say, your retreats now, is it where you can just kind of book any time, or do you bring women together, women in midlife?
That. Yeah. Just on the bit that you said about, living the dream and wanting to move away. I mean, my ex-husband and I have a lot I can talk about that, whether it's on this podcast or another. But one thing I do agree with him is that, life is short and people wait till they're retired, but you may not get there. God willing, you will. But The point is that what are you waiting for? Just do it. What's the worst that could possibly go wrong? And to answer your question of my retreats, as I call them, me treats, as opposed to
Yeah.
retreat, because I think a retreat is a very negative connotation. But also,
Yeah.
when you look at, if you Google retreat, you keep seeing yoga retreats, and that's so
Yeah.
not me. I'm not holistic. Whilst I can customize any retreat to fit a group of women, and I have done that, and I will do that. What I do, both in France and Marrakesh, with my co-host Maria there, who's got a riad in Seville, in Italy, and in Wales, is I host often women that don't know each other, although sometimes they repeat and they come back, so they do know each other. But it's quite lovely when they don't know each other. And I create it depends where we are. It could be a cookery one. In France, obviously, there's wine, because I do live in the largest wine producing region in the world, so that makes
Lovely.
sense. The wine
Whereabouts
tasting.
are you, Honor?
I'm right down in the south, between Carcassonne and Narbonne, which is on the Mediterranean beach, going down towards Spain. So that part of the south of France, right in the middle, at the bottom.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm doing 3 different ones this year. Normally I do my sort of traditional cookery and wine tasting, and I can still do that. But I am actually doing a Becoming Me one, which is for women going through divorce or separation and they've lost their confidence. And I've got a divorce coach coming to help me. She's got so much room that if I were married, I'd want to get divorced just so I could have her being my coach. And I'm not joking, she's amazing. I'm doing, for the second year running, a creative writing retreat for a woman who's written several books, and she's so lovely. She came on one of my retreats and I said, you need to run a retreat with me. And then my third one, which is a new one I'm doing in September, is a Mamma Mia one. So I've got a professional singer. She actually coached Meryl Streep, Pierce Brosnan, and Amanda Seyfield, I think her name is, and was in the actual film Mamma Mia. She's a friend of one of my members, and she's coming to teach us how to sing. And I want people that can't sing, not good singers. I need people like me that think
I
they
can't sing.
can sing in the shower or when they've had a couple of glasses of wine, but actually can't. So we're doing that. That'll be fun.
That sounds amazing. I love the variety as well.
Yes. There's lots of reasons why people think, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this. Yes, you can. Feel the fear and do it anyway, to use that old cliche. But you will come away with a whole bunch of friends for life, I promise, because I know I have, and newfound confidence. Everything we do is empowering, and that's the key. It's about that magic that happens when you do step out of your comfort zone and you put your faith in me to make sure that you're going to have a great time, but you come away emboldened, and that's what my message really is all about.
I mean, I can speak for myself. I'm 51. I'm very lucky that I can go on little breaks with friends, you know. I'm at that stage of life. I have teenagers. I have a daughter who's 12, and I am always looking for something, you know, something little different. And what I find is that a lot of women in my sort of age group, early 50s, the husband is around, you're actually bored of each other. You want a break anyway. And it's easier to do things separately because he can hold the fort, you can go away. And actually, as a woman in going through midlife, you need that, right? You need that for your sanity.
I could not agree more. We spent all our lives being responsible for everybody else.
Yeah.
And who's being responsible for us? You know,
yeah.
Your tank is only so full. My one in Wales, which is a week after Christmas. You'd think Wales in January, but it's absolutely glorious. It's just the most perfect timing for a retreat for women that have just been run ragged throughout November and December. A lot of my people that come on my retreats and my membership are married, but many are divorced, many are single, happily so, happily not so, happily married, not happily married. I get everything, but you need a break. Sometimes you need to step out to expand and grow, I think. So if you had a group of friends, I could create something for you. But in some ways, I would also encourage you to come away without a friend. Because, you know, when you meet new people, you get new perspectives, new ideas. We've got something in common, all of us. If it's not death or divorce, it's aging parents, it's empty nest, it's teenagers, it's hormones, it's menopause, everything. You know, we've got it all. I've got an 81-year-old in my membership. I adore her, which is why I say midlife and beyond. She once asked me, am I the beyond one? And I said, yes, you are. You've got that intergenerational dynamic going on. She's so inspiring. She's got so much energy. For me at 61, I want to be like her when I'm 81. But the point is that we inspire and we learn, and she keeps young by being surrounded by younger people.
I love that. I absolutely love that, because I just think, like you said, where do we in our day-to-day life, get a chance to meet new people? You've got your friends, you've got your comfort zone, and I think I personally feel like I'm always looking for something different. So I'll say to a friend, "Oh, come on, let's do a cooking class," or let's just do so. And actually, I was with some friends recently, and I said, "I'm so bored of just meeting for dinner. Can we do something?
Yeah.
Can we play mahjong?"
Yeah. And the other thing is, the magic happens not at dinner or at lunches, although that's fun. It's the bits in between. So with my meat treats, you've got that sort of the in between breakfast and lunch, there's an activity going on. But for example, on one of the days in my traditional French ones, we have a day spent round the pool waiting for our massages underneath the olive trees. But that's when the bonding happens. It's the standing around the kitchen island while I'm peeling onions for your lunch. That when we're drinking coffee, that the magic happens, which is why particularly in London, when I used to live there, you're always rushing to meet for a meal, dinner, a few drinks, off you go. That's not really getting to know somebody. It's when they come and spend a few days and they're sitting in their pajamas, because why not? And I'm going to hold you to this. You say you're looking for something new. I need you to be booking on one of my meat treats after this.
I'm going to, it's so funny, Honor, because when I started listening to you, I was thinking, oh, I could ask a group of girlfriends, because we're always looking for like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. But as we're going through this conversation, I think I'd rather do it alone.
There you go.
And let me ask you something. Give me an idea of what we can expect from start, like just for the day.
What I call my usual French one. The only bit of holistic stuff I do is we wake up on the first official day and do an hour of yoga nidra. So that's it. So we've met the night before, we've had a few drinks, we've had dinner, we've got to know each other. And that first day, we do spend the day by the pool and have massages, lunch, dinner. The next day, we go off to a French market. I challenge people to try their French and don't flirt too much with the cheese man. He's a terrible flirt. We eat our body weight in free samples and then buy some bits and pieces and come back and have lunch. Afternoon, we'll walk through the vineyards, go and have coffee in a little village not far from me. In the evening, we'll go out for dinner. The next day, we'll go to and do a cookery and food and wine tasting day. So you go, do the cookery, and you sit down and eat what you prepare, but you have a wine tasting with it, pairing, while you learn about the wines of the region, which is really interesting because I've got an expert that delivers that. And then the next day is a free day. People often want to go to Carcassonne, but some people, they've seen my grid and they want to go to the Pink Sea. So we'll go to the beach. The following day is the last day, but usually if the flight's in the afternoon, I'll drag them down to this beautiful medieval village called La Grasse. And there's a little market there as well, and it's a lovely place just to have buy all your last bits of souvenirs, because there's some beautiful artisan shops there. So that's my normal French one, but all the others have a little
twist.
Yeah. In my membership, one girl organised us all to go on the Camino, 14 of us. And I know that some of them now meet up regularly. They found their tribes, if you like. I do hate that expression, but they found their tribe, and they create little weekends and do things themselves. I asked one of my members why she joined the group and why she came on my meet treat. She's been married for 43 years. Why? And she said, well, we're retired, and my husband doesn't always want to do the same things that I want to do, but I also know that I will probably outlive him, and I want to make sure I've got a really good network of women around me. And I live by that. It's called future-proofing your life in terms of friendships, because friends are transient, they come and go. So it's good to have this big network of women, and there will be a core group that support you and are there for you all the time, whether you meet them on the retreat or in the membership. It's incredible.
That is lovely. Do you know one of the things, right, Honor, that I love the idea of, and I don't know why it's making me think of that, but do you know that movie, the Marigold Hotel?
Yes.
Because obviously we think of old age. What you said made me think of that. But I've always thought what I would love later on
Yes.
is to basically end up, who knows, if I'm still with my husband or if he's alive, I'm alive, whatever the scenario is, but to end up living with people, because I think, one thing we can see, loneliness is just like the worst thing.
We don't discuss that part of our lives enough. And funny you should say that. One of my friends this morning shared a post to me on Instagram, and we've talked about it a lot. I've often talked about creating a women's commune. They're becoming more and more and more popular. And the thing is that we do mostly outlive our partners. So we are going to end up alone. I don't want to be a burden to my daughter. I've got a big property, and I've kind of joked about it. If everyone were to buy a bit, so you've got your own individual spaces, but yet there's a common, Friday night is bingo night. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't tell anyone.
I love that.
Yeah, and the thing is, the logistics of that and the legalities of that is a difficult thing. But there will be a template at some point for doing it. But it is happening more and more and more.
Yeah. I think it's just like a wonderful model. And I know this sounds crazy. I'm 51, but when I watch things like, I don't know if you ever saw the Thursday Murder Club, and they're all in this kind of residential, beautiful place. I keep like looking enviously, like, oh, that looks lovely. And I think it's just, when you said future proofing, right?
Yeah.
I love that kind of going hand in hand. Yeah. And, it's funny, my job actually entails old age. I do wills and probate. Yes. I deal with the elderly. I do power of attorneys. And I spend a lot of time actually in the community. They can't leave their homes. I'll go and do their will, because you don't get that service anymore. But one of the reasons I do it is because I love meeting people, and I love kind of being able to help them. And you see so much, and the saddest thing is and it's just everywhere, is this feeling of being alone.
We're not prepared for it. We're not taught for it. We're not educated for it. We're educated for everything else but that old age bit. And in my membership, I have guest experts. It's a shame I hadn't met you before, because actually I have guest experts that come and talk on all subjects, and no subject's off limits. It could be sex health, sex toys, it could be death, it could be nutrition, bone health, all sorts of conversations we have. And my next is talking about probate, because we have to be prepared. Forewarned is forearmed. So if I'd known you first, I'd have invited you to come and talk to the group. So yeah.
Well, you never know. You said, you've got to hear the same message.
You know what? I do bring out back the same topic, because I think a different person has a different perspective again. But secondly, we do buy from people we know, like, and trust. So, they'll want to work with you, or you work with that person. So that's how it is. Yeah.
And let me ask you something. You mentioned that probate person coming to talk. Is that part of the membership then that you're offering?
Yeah. So
what does that entail?
So the membership. So I mean, if I reel back, they all kind of evolved during COVID. By the way, when my Jeep business went a bit down the pan, I had to come up with something, and I started coaching on Instagram, and I met all these lovely women, and when travel was allowed, they wanted to all meet up, and they came to my place. And that's where I got the idea of doing the retreats. In a way, I can organize bunches of women to come together and organize fun things, and it's just magical watching everybody blossom. But not everyone can afford to go, not everyone has the time. So an online community is brilliant, because you can do it from them. Some people live quite isolated, so an online community is brilliant in that respect. But I do encourage in real life meetups. We have lunches and coffees and weekends away and stuff like that. But online, we have regular Zooms, chit chats, coffee mornings. I bring in guest experts, because there's so many things we need to talk about. The reason I did it, I'm future proofing my life. Because I want to build a network of women around me as well. And secondly, because my terrestrial business possibly will be forced out of me. My ex-husband will force me to sell it at some point, and I need a business that's going to sustain me, he can't touch, and I don't need bricks and mortars for. I'm just writing a post about it, actually, funny enough, because I want to be totally honest. There is a motivation for building this online business, but as well as my huge genuine passion for bringing women together and supporting women, because I'm not the only one out there that needs that. Loads and loads and loads of women everyone needs it.
Absolutely. Oh, but that's sad to hear, Honor, that you might have to sell your
Yep.
business.
It's the first time
Is
I've kind of publicly said that in this kind of format. Although I'm divorced, unfortunately the assets haven't been settled, and due to some naivety on my part and generosity on my part, he unfortunately is entitled to far more than morally he should be, which will put me in a position of having to sell in the next two or 3 years. So I'm building something to support me both emotionally and of course financially as well. So, we do businesses to pay the bills. So let's be honest about that. Let's not,
yeah, of course.
pretend that doesn't happen. But for me, it's a double whammy because they'll support me just as much as I and we all support each other. You don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Well, and you don't know exactly, Honor. So by the time 2 years comes, possibly you might be able to buy him out, or you
Who
don't
knows?
know.
Or a bunch of women listening to this
Women
will say,
get
"Oh no,
together,
we want to buy
yeah.
in and have this female-only community, so we'll buy a section of it." You never know.
You never know. So when is your next me treat?
In June. It's the one Becoming Me with the divorce coach, where we are going to just go through finding not necessarily the old you, but the newer, better version of you.
Yeah.
And feeling confident. I mean, almost you don't need to be going through a divorce. You could just be going through a low point. But actually, because she specialises in that, she's the kind of person that would even hold your hand and take you to the courtroom if you need be. There are so many women going through that.
Yeah.
And sadly,
Yeah.
there'll be even more by the time June comes because I'm constantly getting messages from people saying, "I've been married 32 years and my husband's left me. I'm in a flunk," if that's the right word. There is a need for this. It's a real need.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And I
when
mean, I can see it actually in my friendship groups and people around me. We're sort of hitting 50, the kids are late teens, leaving the house even. And I can see the first divorces they've sort of sprung up in the last few years, but it's more and more now.
it's a bit epidemic as well. I feel
Yeah.
that, my husband left me on my 50th birthday, by the way, whilst I was in Vietnam on my 50th birthday holiday. Nice, huh? We split up, but a whole bunch of our friends or people we knew split up around the same time. It's almost like I know you get these batches of people doing that. But it's the best thing he did, by the way. I'm so very glad because I wasn't happy. I've just got to say that. So I thank you for leaving me. But there's a lot of women that have the courage to leave an unhappy marriage. We've got Lord knows how many years ahead of us. Why stay in
Yeah.
something that isn't making you happy? And yes, we do need to think about the children and all of that kind of stuff. But children also need to see what a healthy, happy marriage looks like. And if it's not, then you're being the wrong role model for that. So it's important that you do look after yourself to a certain extent and make sure, you execute that whole thing nicely. Sadly, that's not done very often, very well.
No, it's not. And I think when a woman's going through something like that, you feel so isolated. They say the two hardest things in life is divorce and moving. And I mean, it is so traumatic. And
It is, and death is one of those others. And the thing
death,
is, when
yeah.
you lose somebody, you're grieving, or when you go through a divorce, if it was a surprise, you're grieving. That grief is as genuinely and as heartfelt as a death is heartfelt. Having lost parents and friends in my life, I know that feeling. And getting divorced or having someone leave you is right up there in pain and agony.
Absolutely. No, I mean, yeah, you can see it. And I'm already thinking of like people I know who would benefit from coming to your me treat, the divorce one, because it's just like, my goodness, you're actually starting afresh.
Yeah.
And I like the way you said it is a grief because suddenly you're not friends with a whole bunch of people. You're not, it's the families that you've been together with for so long. That's it.
Absolutely. And the future that you thought you had is not there anymore. But I have another theory on that. I think we were fed so many lies. If you read Enid Blyton when you were little, you were led to believe that it's going to be full of wisteria, rose-covered thatched cottages, and a perfect life with mum and dad and grandparents, and like that. And it's all nice, and 2.4 kids, and a nice car, and a sense. Life isn't like that. Unfortunately, illnesses and deaths and divorces get in the way. Curveballs are thrown at us all the time. Plot twists happen. So in a way, perhaps, our expectations have been led to this way, but the truth of the matter is it's not. In fact, maybe your next best chapter hasn't happened yet. And it was
Yeah.
all leading to this without sounding too spiritual, but we maybe needed to get through all of
Yeah.
that to get to
Yeah.
here. I mean, I
Yeah.
have met so many incredible women on Instagram who are now through my retreats and through my membership, who are really seriously going to be friends for life. And I would never have met them if my husband hadn't left me.
That's
And I wouldn't trade
incredible.
them for the world. I would not
Yeah.
trade them for the world.
No, I think that's amazing. Funnily enough, Mel Robbins said, your most favorite person you might not have even
That's
met
right.
yet.
That's right.
And I think of that a lot. I actually told one of my friends that, and she said, yes, you have. You've met me. Like that. And I was like,
no, there's someone better. But, I joke. But that's exactly
Yeah.
that. You haven't met your next best
Yeah.
friend just yet, or whoever. And she's completely right. I mean, I'm not saying that person, your best friend right now, isn't going to be your best friend, but there could be somebody else.
No.
We need different best friends for different reasons and different things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And life is long. And I think female friendships, I mean, for me, it's like one of the most important parts of getting me through the day, getting me through the week, the month, like just checking in with my friend. I think men don't do that.
Don't do that.
Absolutely not. But for us, I have friends who are just, little voice memo here and there. There's some, it will be daily, some weekly, monthly. Everyone has a different place, but it's just so empowering and enriching, I don't think I could get through life without that.
I agree. And I think you're right. Men don't do that. But I will tell you what men do well is when there is a bit of a tiff, they'll just beat each other up and then continue playing pool and drinking beer. Whereas women, unfortunately, can be a little bit misinterpreted. And instead of sometimes, let's talk about this, they'll go off and make their own decision on what that should have been. So women can be a little bit catty sometimes, and I think that's a negative of us, and we need to work better at that. I think men are good at just giving we should punch each other and have a pint of beer and get over it, I think. But Caitlin Moran, I think the journalist, once said, if men were to talk more, women would have half the problems in life, which is true.
Yeah, definitely. I've been married for, I think it's coming up to 29 years. I don't even remember. I was quite young when I got married. And it is, one of the most interesting things is just recently, Honor. I mean, I love my husband to pieces, very close, met as students, that kind of thing. But we sat there and I said to him, do you even like me anymore? I know you love me. And he turned around and said to me, well, do you like me? And it kind of threw me because I was at that point, I was like, I don't know. I actually felt that. But what was so interesting after I just said to him, I said, you know what? We need like something. We need help. I'm a big believer in there's help out there. But really what it was, and this was so kind of incredible for me to see the transformation. It's only been within the last few months. Interestingly enough, I had a really full-on Christmas. I felt I was going to have a breakdown after it. And it all came to light. And one of the things that has helped has just been this amazing communication that we just haven't been able to have. I mean, it's so easy to see. This is the other side where I could literally feel we could just go our own ways so easily because I'm going through this thing, he's going through something else. We were not connecting at all. And what's been so incredible is through better communication, and yes, we did need the help of someone to help us get there because we just couldn't do it on our own. It feels so transformative. And
it's brilliant. It's brilliant that you did that and that he was receptive to that. That is superb. Unusual, but superb. And interestingly enough, I've had several relationship coaches come and talk to my membership as well. Really interesting because it actually helped. I think one saved a friendship for me, a girl friendship, if you like, because I realised that she's the way she is, I'm the way I am, so we've got to react differently because that is her quirk and that's my quirk, so let's change our behaviour. We can't change the person, we can change our reactions, right? But my divorce coach, who's coming in June, actually gave us a talk to my group, and the title of the talk was How to Not Get Divorced. She has this thing where I do not like the term by the better half or other half. We are 100% our individual people, but as a couple, as a team, if you look at your sort of happiness at 100% or your well-being at 100%, some days you're not going to be at 100%, nor is he. on other days. So it's his or your job to bring in if he's at 40%, then you need to bring in the 60% to bring it up to that 100%. That's what a team does, working together. That was a really good light bulb moment. Yes, let's kind of remember we're a team. I'm having a bad day. I'm going to ask for help. He's having a bad day. I'm going to offer help. So you bring up, but you have to communicate. You have to ask for it.
Yeah.
Tell them how you feel. And that's the problem. That's why lots and lots of relationships, both through friendships and obviously marriages, break down, and sadly.
I mean, it's so incredible that you say that, because the one thing that came out was this teamwork and I just felt like we're not a team, in certain aspects. And it is literally transformative when you can actually talk about that.
Absolutely.
I was listening to a divorce lawyer, interestingly enough, say that if your husband or your wife is not your favorite person anymore, then that's a problem. Yeah. And it was such a simple way of putting it. Are they your favorite person? Yeah. Made me think of that conversation I told you with my husband where he said, do you even like me anymore? Because I was like, there's no way you can be my favorite person at the moment because I don't even like you, Well,
I'm not sure he is your favorite person, because if I listen correctly, you painted your entire bedroom like a pink vulva, according to him. I mean, there's many connotations we can go there.
But Honor, actually, in my defense, okay, and this I thought was quite good, is that I would have just been really stubborn, and I just went, hang on a second, what can we do now? Do you want me to repaint it? Can I change? And he said, can you just change this? Can we maybe do this, have a bit more contrast? And I felt quite proud of myself, because I was like, actually, I'm going to do these changes for him, and I want to make sure that he's comfortable in that space, which I felt was progress for me, because I was so stuck, before.
I heard somebody once say, you need to work at it. Well, actually, sometimes you need to play at it as well. Rather than working in a marriage or a relationship, we forget to have fun. You forget to have fun, because life's got in the way. You've got your bills, you've got your pink curtains and pink ceiling and all these things that are kind of like what have you. But you need to have fun together, and so you need to play at a relationship as well. Not just
Well, what's so interesting is when we were recently talking to this couples therapist, and she just said, I said to her, we need to do something together. We need to do an activity. And I said, he said, do you want to do rock climbing? And I said, do you want to do pottery? That kind of like typical cliche. And she was just like, do you know how many times I've heard that? The man says rock climbing, the woman says dancing, something like that, or cooking or something. And she's listening to us, and we're kind of like in front of her going, well, we could do this and we could do that, or maybe just, whatever activity together, just to kind of find some common ground where you're saying play, right? Like make it fun. And she's looking at us, and then she just stops and she goes, do you know what? Rather than looking for an activity like that, why don't you just have sex? And it was just
nice
the way
one.
she said it. It was
a nice one.
Because it stopped us in our tracks. And she said, do you know how many times I've heard this? And she said, for goodness sake, I just sometimes wonder, what if that was the activity? And we were just literally stuck.
As you were saying this, just before you said that, I was going to tell you, one of my other guest speakers I had was a tantric sex therapist. And I wanted to tell you about that, because tantric sex is all here inside. I mean, you do end up having it, by the way, I think, because you can't resist it, right? But there's a lot of sort of just sitting in front of each other and kind of getting in tune with each other, blah, blah, blah. I've had a lot of speakers, so I only remember the bits I want to hear. Remember, that kind of like tantalizing part of it. I don't remember if it got mucky or not. But I mean, why not? You're married, you can do.
Why not? Yeah, I love it. I love it.
And good.
It's just, it felt such a simple kind of solution.
I hope you took her up on that.
Yeah, we did actually.
Good.
Because it was that sort of thing of, oh my God, I have to book a course now and find some activity and, amidst your busy life. And of course, we're sort of very conscious we need to work, like you said, work at it, right? But actually, do we need to work at it, or do we play at it?
Exactly.
And I love that. I love that, Honor, because that in a nutshell is literally the revelation that we had through this process, is that we started it going, oh my God, this is going to be such hard work. We've got to, somehow find a reconnection. And then you end, well, we haven't ended yet. We're going through the process thinking, this is actually really fun.
Yeah, and we forget that because of life getting in the way and the daughter being in the bedroom next door and your libido's gone because of menopause or this or that or whatever.
Yeah.
But actually, once you do get started, once you get into it, it's actually, all the endorphins. It's like singing and laughter and orgasms are really good for you. I just said that out loud. Oh my gosh, I hope I did. Also, do not listen to this. Go watch Bridgerton. I'll tell you something. Who needs 50 Shades of Grey? You've got Bridgerton. I mean, that doesn't, the romance and the tension in that doesn't get you going. I don't know what does.
Oh, I love Bridgerton. Do you know, how did she describe the word orgasm? Pinnacle.
Oh, a pentacle. No,
pinnacle. She's like, oh, have you had a pinnacle or whatever? And I love that so much. It's such a great show. Which actually, Honor, leads us really nicely into the next banter segment. You've heard me speak to guests, and basically I like to ask you for recommendations because I love that in my podcast. So can I start by asking you, is there a favorite film that you love that you recommend? What is your favorite film?
I mean, this is such a cliche because everyone's seen it 80 billion times. Love Actually, bloody love that film. I can watch that over and over again. Yes, there's many good films out there. There's some really good films out there, but Love Actually I can watch over and over again. I always pick up something new from it because there's so many different stories and nuances, and who doesn't cry when Emma Thompson cries? I just love that film because I think there's lots of little messages in it. It's not trite, it's not silly, it's actually really, really, really well written, I think. So Love Actually is my favourite film.
I love that film, and I totally agree with you. I can watch it till the cows come home. So great one. What about TV show? How do you watch much? Do you stream in France?
I watch a lot of Netflix, and I go through sort of phases. Right now I'm rewatching The Great.
That's good.
Yeah, but actually, if I had one, The Office, the American version of The Office, I've watched it probably 3 times over. I've watched it several times. When you're feeling a bit down, you can just put on The Office, or even an Old Friends or something like that, or Modern Family, and it will just lift your spirits. But I love
that's such a good one. And what about a book?
Yeah, obviously
I know that's a hard one.
Do you know what? I'll be reading a book, and I don't even remember what the title of that book is while I'm reading it. Handmaid's, not The Handmaid's Tale, but it's it's The Maid.
The Maid. Oh, is that the one that was made into a movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
That. And there's loads of books by her that me and my daughter are reading at the minute. So there's a good one. But the tattooist of Auschwitz.
Oh yeah.
Because it is a true story. We need to read books like that sometimes to remind ourselves about history and stuff. Don't like history books particularly, but something like the tattooist of Auschwitz was really, brought you back to earth really. So that's a good book too. But sometimes I reread a book and not remember I've read it before until I'm halfway through, and then I think, oh my God, I really read this book.
I totally relate. That's one of the reasons I used to have a Kindle, right? And that is the worst thing for remembering things because you don't even see the title because you just you just put it on. And I thought this is brilliant for travel. Then I stopped that and I have just read hard books, like just normal books, because at least I can see the title and the author because I just don't remember. Now, you mentioned, Honor, that you, in your retreats, you cook. So do you cook for the guests?
Only on certain retreats.
Days.
So yes, and it's good old home cooking. I'm not flash. It's very, but people say I'm a good cook, so that's nice. So I cook lovely, wholesome meals. I try to keep it French themed if we're in France. Some of the other retreats, thank God, the staff at the places that I rent, they do the cooking, which I kind of prefer because it takes the pressure off me. But one of my favourite things I cook is a Corsican beef stew. I absolutely I cook it over 2 days. This beef, you use bourguignon beef, and you just cook it, and it's got tomato passata, white wine, cinnamon, and bay leaves in it, and you just cook it forever, and you serve that with pasta. It is absolutely gorgeous. Love it. So that's quite
Love
good.
it. Oh, I might ask you to send me the recipe I
Yeah.
can post with this episode. Because,
Well, actually, I mean, I will just Google. So do you know what when I'm looking for a recipe, I will write easy peasy. And then it comes up. It has easy peasy cinnamon balls, easy peasy pavlova, and
Yeah.
it's got to be simple. I have to keep it simple.
And actually, that's what I am all about, because I think as a mom, working mom, I love cooking. I love homemade meals. I don't really have much frozen stuff, just because, except for vegetables and stuff, because I like to cook.
Yes.
But it has to be easy, and can't be lots of ingredients, but it has to be delicious.
I totally agree.
I'm always looking for those recipes, which are not a million things, but they are good.
One of my other meals I might do is chicken. I use chicken a lot on a personal basis, but in the retreat, chicken with potatoes and white wine and cream and tarragon. Love tarragon with chicken. And then one pot. Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple.
So I don't want to, be faffing around doing that, but I just want wholesome, decent, lovely food, delicious food. Yeah.
Well, Honor, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me. I've very much enjoyed it.
I have loved it. I've loved getting to know you. And honestly, I'm going to come.
You better.
And I'm going to come alone.
I think you should come to the Mamma Mia, unless you want to write a book, because I've got the creative writing one. But either come to my Mamma Mia one in September, or I've got 2 spots left on my Welsh one, which is just after Christmas, which you might need it then.
Yeah. But you know what? On Wales, south of France.
Yeah, well, I know. Also, I've got Morocco. I'm going back for my 5th one in Morocco. Have you been to Marrakesh?
Yes. I went last year. Yeah.
Well, I've done quite a few there now, and this one in November we go off into Sahara. It's absolutely magical. It's beautiful.
That sounds amazing.
That's in November.
You know the Mamma Mia one? I literally cannot sing.
Hello. I will beat you on the I cannot sing. Come to the Mamma Mia in September. It's going to be great. And I'll cook you Corsican beef stew.
I am going to look it up, and I'm going to be there.
I'm going to send you the link immediately.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that sounds amazing. Thank you again for coming on, Honor. I really enjoyed this.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Honor, for being on this podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with Honor, and it's actually taken me down a slightly different path. I now really want to experience one of her meat treats for myself. So if I do manage to go, I will absolutely be reporting back and letting you know how it is. I can't lie, it just sounds so appealing. In the meantime, do check her out. And don't forget, if you've enjoyed this conversation, share it with someone who you think might need to hear it. And please don't forget to rate and review the podcast. See you next week.